everybody, Ken Panagopoulos here with another episode of The Lazy Gourmet. Thank you all for joining me today. And on today's episode, I am going to talk about the beet. Beets are one of my favorite vegetables. They're nutritious, they're delicious, and you can use the whole vegetable. Something as simple as these, right out of my garden, very easy to grow. And these are really organic only because I know what went in them, because I grew them, and more importantly, what didn't go in them. When you're preparing beets, today I'm going to show you 3 ways to do these. I'm going to show you how to can or preserve the beet root part, which is right here. I'm also going to show you 2 ways to do the leafy greens, which are nutritious and delicious. I'm going to show you how to do these in a olive oil garlic saute and in a simple boil with lemon and olive oil. Okay, so first things first, what we need to do is come over here, turn on our stove one eye to maximum and the other to maximum to boil the water for our jars, because we always do things the most sanitary way possible. We take our pot and we fill it with water, basically enough to get these boiling, and I'll show you how we go from there. So very easily, how you do these, to start, you're very simple. Let's move these off to the side here. Cut out the stem or the stalk part, cut away the root just like that. Move it off to the side. Same thing here. So you're just basically left with this. And right into our pot that's heating up with water. Now that our beets are boiling away and they're in the water in the pot, the next part of this recipe, or how to, is putting them in the mason jars and getting your mason jars ready. Mason jars are just ones that I had just lying around the house. So what I've done is basically just taken them, thrown them in the dishwasher in the sanitizing cycle. If you don't have a dishwasher, that's totally cool. All you need to really do is just boil them for 10-15 minutes with the jars or the lids included, and from there, you're good to go. So now that they're all ready, we're going to talk about what goes in these. Now that the beets are in the pot, in the water, they're going to come up to a boil, and from there they're going to boil for about 25 to 35 minutes. You don't want them too overly cooked or too mushy. Ultimately, they're going to be sitting in a brine, in which case they're going to tenderize a little bit more. The pot going with the beets, it's coming at a full boil right now, so it's just doing its job. Nothing to think about there. The water is boiling for eventually to can our jars, our beets, so that's out of the way. What we have to think about next is going to be the brine. So the brine is going to take a regular pot, just like this, and the ratio that I use for this, especially this amount of beets, which isn't too much, is going to be 6 cups of water to 4 cups of vinegar, which is just a plain white plain Jane vinegar, and not that much salt at all. 1/4 cup of salt. I don't add any sugar whatsoever. So let's take our handy here, measuring cup, and what I'm going to do now is just very easily fill up 6 cups of water. That, and from here we're going to put 4 cups of just the plain vinegar. That's close enough. Perfect. And our salt, pre-measured already in here. There's a 1/4 cup of salt. Everything goes into this. I like to dissolve the salt in the acid of the vinegar, only because it helps it dilute a little bit better. Now from this point here, put it on the back burner and just leave it alone. There's nothing else we need to do to it. All we're going to do now is let that come to a boil. Let it boil for 5 to 10 minutes and we're good to go. What we do now is just take our pre-clean leaves. I'm just going to divide them in half. I'll leave these here and work with these. And all you need to do for these is take your pot, grab your knife, and any way that works for you will absolutely be fine. I cut them usually an inch to 2 inch length. And I take these, just throw them in a pot, just like that. Nothing to this. There's absolutely nothing to this at all. Very quickly, chop these up, throw this in the pot. It may seem like a lot, but it really isn't, because once you actually get this to boil down, there's not much to these at all. Then, very simple, cover these in water, just enough for them to get covered, because basically these won't take long as well. These will take maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on how you like it. Greek style, well, take about 20-25 minutes, because for the Greeks, everything is either going to be overdone, well done, or incinerated. And now we'll just take our pot, just throw it on the back burner, just like that, and get that going. It's really that simple. Alright, so now, the next part of this is the canning, the actual jars themselves. And like I said before, I'm just using these that I had lying around the house. Use anything you want, totally fine, totally cool, not a problem at all. So for this, very easily and very simply, what I do is I just take garlic and just break it up into the cloves, individual cloves. Nothing to it. Very, very easy, very simple, and there's no real chopping of this at all. I like to put them in whole, which is fine. So, that's it. We actually just move this out of the way. Just the palm and start crushing these cloves. And as they crush, the skin just gets loosened and falls right off. So in these ones here, 1 clove ought to do it. You don't need more than that. If you prefer, you can use more than 1 or 2. Totally fine. And lastly, this one goes in. So just let me get these out of the way here. In there, because I like to keep them organized. And the next part of this is the parsley. Parsley now, just again, nothing fancy. Just take this. Take a bunch of stems, throw them in each jar. Easy peasy, nothing to it. I don't like using dill for this only because the flavor and the texture of the beets are very different. And again, that's all there is to it. Alright, so now with that out of the way and the parsley's done, take these, leave them here for now. My strainer, take these, toss them in there, just like that. At this stage, they're really, really hot to handle, so what I do is I just take some cold water, rinse it off over them. And the hot to cold will actually help with the removal of the skins, to peel them off. Alright, so the next part, which is actually handling the beets and peeling the beets, what I always like to use is rubber gloves. Not because I really don't mind getting my hands dirty, it's just that they stain and they leave really, really red stains basically behind them. So, I'm just going to throw these on. Perfect. So now, I take a non-serrated, the important thing here is you take a non-serrated knife In other words, you don't want this basically having an edge that's got teeth. You want to just quickly and easily peel off the beet. These are actually working out better than I thought, and what's happened now is, see that? The skins have gone completely off. Your beet is actually completely clean. These beets have been peeled. I'm just going to very carefully peel them off to the side, the peels here, so I can show you how to go about doing this. And any way you can, doesn't really matter how to chop these. The name of the game here is for them to fit into the jars. Just like that. Any way you can. Very, very easy. And even if there's a bit of room left in these, that's totally fine, because at the end, the brine will go in and help out. This is a small one here, very small little beet, so it goes in a bowl. So here we are, we're continuing now to finally finish up popping these. Jars are almost finished. One thing you should know as well is that from the top, leave about half an inch, just for expansion. These are kind of push down and go down a little bit, and fill them up until you've got some room, just like that. Very, like I said, this is nothing that no one else can do. It's not something that's complicated. Certainly not rocket science. With these jars filled, just like that. This isn't exactly the neatest job, but it's going to be well worth it, I promise. Now that we have our jars filled and they're ready to go, we take our handy canning funnel, and with each one, you just put it like that, and as neatly as you can. That didn't work out so well, but there you go. There's one. Two. Perfect. Awesome. And that's all there is to filling these up. Put this away. And once these things are filled like this, they're actually very hot, so you have to be very careful. What I like to do is give them a few minutes just for the air pockets to come out of them, and then again with the parsley, just like that, very easily take a few of the leaves and put them on the top, right here, just like that. That's it. A couple of leaves is all you really need. You don't need that much, because as this pickles and as this ferments, the flavors will intensify for sure. And now we just basically from here put the lids on. The most important thing is the seal. These seals here are absolutely critical. You have a rubber liner here. This has to go on top of the opening, just like that. You'll feel it kind of seed in there, and start turning. And you just leave this loose, just like that, not much to it, and let that sit for about 5 minutes. Now that we're actually in the process of just finishing up, oh, see that? That's what happens before you put the seal on, which is actually a good thing. Alright, so now we have one out of the 3 ways to make beets and their greens. Here we have the finished canned preserves, the actual beetroot here, in the vinegar brine. So now, the next thing that's left to do is these leafy greens. The ones that we were boiling before. Drain these off. Take a plate and a bowl. Just like that. Put that in place. All ready to go. There. And a little extra virgin olive oil, drizzle it on top. And you can also put either lemon or vinegar to this, whichever you prefer. And you can serve these either hot, just just like these are, or both. It really doesn't matter, it's your preference. And also, when it comes to seasoning, I really don't season the water when it comes to leafy greens. I prefer to add the salt afterwards, just like that. So there you have it. The beets here, canned and preserved the beetroots, the greens, all ready to go, boiled, and they look awesome and they smell great. And the third way that I'm going to show you now is sauteed with a little olive oil and garlic. Now that we've got the first two ways to do our beets, now is the third and the last way, which is sauteing them. When I saute these things, I really prefer that I don't use the stalks. So get rid of the stalks, these over here just like that. Only because the saute process is very, very high in intensity, and you want to quickly whittle these down with the olive oil and the garlic. So what we do is just chop these up just like that. Alright, now for the final stage of this three-way preparation of beets, we're going to take the beet greens and flash saute them over high heat very, very quickly. So I've got my burner set to high. I put this down. My leafy greens are here. They've been already chopped. So what I'm going to do first is add some olive oil. You don't need much, maybe a couple, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Then you're going to take some garlic, maybe 2 or 3 cloves, just like that. Break them up so that way we can remove the skin. Just move that around. That's all you have to do. Now as this goes, what I like to do now is pinch of salt right into the oil, pinch of pepper, again, right into the oil, and from there, take our greens. It may seem like there's a lot of greens in here, but by the time they saute down, there won't be much at all. This is basically a couple of servings here. Just get that aroma and that flavor from the olive oil and the garlic, and it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. So let's just let these kind of wilt away there. Slowly just start flipping them up, just like that. And it doesn't take very long at all. The presentation of this is very simple. The garlic and the olive oil will infuse the greens, just like that. A little drizzle of olive oil while it's hot. And there you have the third way. Alright, so here we are. Finally, we're done. We have 3 beautiful ways to do beets. We've done the beet root in a pickling brine, which is absolutely amazing. Mind you, this will take about 4 to 6 weeks for this to finally ferment and kind of do its thing, but that's totally cool. These have already actually started to pop and the lids have actually started to seal, which is exactly what we want. The second way, what we've done is we've boiled these greens. The leafy greens are vitamin rich, they're delicious, and they're amazing hot oatmeal. So with this, a little olive oil, salt, pepper, and vinegar or lemon, and we're absolutely golden. This is amazing. Okay, and finally, the third way was a flash saute method using simply olive oil and garlic, which is so simple, so delicious, and so nutritious. That's all there is to this. These are 3 ways very, very quickly that you can prepare beets and using the whole vegetable, not just the root or just the greens. It's an amazing vegetable full of vitamins and very nutritious. Thank you so much for watching. That's it for this episode of beets and 3 ways to prepare them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a blast producing it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you really liked it, please subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments, feedback, suggestions. Thank you for watching. I'm Ken Panagopoulos, the Lazy Gourmet, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.